student athletes, but we know that later on this week she is going to expand on that, and she will be talking about that in a more fulsome manner. And I think when she hits the campaign trail, she's scheduled to go to Milwaukee, to Wisconsin tomorrow, for instance. We'll hear more about that. And then that also raises this question, Hallie, about when we're going to hear from President Biden in his own national address to expand on why he made this decision. And she did say he's feeling better. He's still recovering from his case of COVID, but he might be coming back to the White House in the next few days to deliver that major address, which I'm told his aides, along with the president, who of course will have a very key hand in that speech, they've already started working on it. They are drafting sections of it today, and will be working on it as well while he is still in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. And once his doctor gives him the all clear to return to Washington, we expect that one of his first major acts would be to deliver that speech, we believe, from the White House, though I'm told by several officials that the exact venue, the exact format, length, and timing is still a bit up in the air, depending on his health. But I think there is this also larger question about just how we're going to see Vice President Harris now in this newer role. And I'm told that she's going to be doing things like she's doing today, which is some things that President Biden would have been doing as well. She is anticipated to be meeting, in addition to the president, at some point this week with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who's coming to Washington for a couple of days. And so I think we're going to see both the president and the vice president in these engagements in the official capacity, because that is still the day job, while now Vice President Harris is going to hit the trail as the potential nominee, while we know President Biden, we're told, also actively wants to get back on the campaign trail now to stump for her, which will be a shift, obviously, in what he had been doing in the last year and a half of his reelection effort. We know that there are even fundraisers that he was supposed to be doing in the coming weeks that it's possible he could do that morph into raising money for now the Harris operation for president. And we know that the two of them spoke several times yesterday and likely will continue to be very, very closely in touch, Hallie. And then I think it will be significant as the Vice President is doing her official duties here at the White House, and then this afternoon she's going to shift more into campaign mode, if you will, when she goes to the Wilmington, Delaware headquarters and she speaks to the staff there. And she said in her message posting about that trip that it is only 105 or so days to go until the election, and she's really pledging to earn and win this nomination, she says. Hallie.
Monica Alba outside the White House. Of course, Republicans are now facing the prospect of a new political opponent for former President Trump and his new running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. NBC's Vaughn Hilliard covers the Trump campaign. Senator Vance has his first solo rally today, Vaughn. And based on my reporting, it seems as though the Trump campaign will go after Vice President Harris in a couple of ways, lashing her, they intend to the Biden agenda, and going after her record in California politics as well.
Right. This is not the challenger that they were anticipating for the last 20 months, back when Donald Trump announced his presidential bid in November of 2022. And I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan this weekend for a rally that the former president was holding alongside J.D. Vance, his new running mate. And I was talking to a senior campaign official who told me at the time, before Joe Biden announced that he would not be seeking this second term, who would they prefer to face? And he said, of course, that we would prefer to face Joe Biden, because that is the campaign that they had built and prepared for. At the same time, this campaign official had suggested that they had already begun to look at internal polling, as well as planning for potential other options, that including Kamala Harris taking the top spot on the ticket. And that is exactly what has taken place. I was also this weekend talking with RNC chairman Michael Whatley, who told me that this isn't a matter of who the messenger is. It is a matter of what the message is. And whether the Democrats were to go with Kamala Harris or Gretchen Whitmer, it is a Democratic Party that has been united in the last 3.5 years. And for the Trump campaign, you should expect to see them continue to tie Kamala Harris directly to the efforts of the Biden administration in its entirety, but also the fact that she was appointed to be the so-called border czar by the Biden administration. And there have been a record number of immigrants that have made their way across the U.S.-Mexico border over the course of the last 3.5 years. And so these are some of the when Kamala Harris gets further under the microscope, some of those questions will be, of course, put to her. And the other part of this is whether there will be a presidential debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And just last night, Jason Miller, a senior advisor to Donald Trump, suggested that Donald Trump was prepared to, in fact, debate her. And on social media, Donald Trump has suggested that he may want to change the venue, the TV news network that would be hosting it, suggesting that it should be potentially Fox that hosts it. At the same time, I'm told that it is a matter of whether it could be put to somebody else to host it. So there are still some open question marks. That second debate, Allie, was slated to take place in September. But now with the Democratic National Convention coming up in just 4 weeks from now, of course, there's a lot of questions before the Trump team further steps up exactly what their plans are moving forward.
That's right, Vaughn. 4 weeks from today, the DNC is set to begin in Chicago. Vaughn Hilliard, thank you very much. So again, you have just watched Vice President Kamala Harris in her first remarks since President Biden dropped out of the 2024 race and endorsed her as the next nominee. Much to watch in the days ahead for all of us here at NBC News. Thank you. This concludes our special report. Much more ahead on Nightly News and on NBCnews.com.